Hello, good day, and welcome to this channel once again. My name is Bright Nenton Barigira, so I'm going to be your host for tonight. We started a training session on Tuesday. This is a 5-day training session. This is the day 4. So if you're joining us now, so please stay tuned as we move down to Archicad. By the end of this video, students are going to learn how to use Archicad for 3D rendering, how to use Enscape with 3D rendering, 3D rendering on Enscape, right? How to merge Archicad plus Enscape and work with those tools together, right? So we'll go through all of those particular processes together on this particular video, right? And also I'm going to learn um, Archicad basic rendering, right? So Enscape intro, starting Enscape, basic rendering settings for Enscape, exporting images from Enscape, right? The final rendering on Enscape. Right, so if you're just joining us for the first time, please feel free to subscribe to this channel, Architect Guide, and also leave a like, leave a comment so that YouTube can actually use it to bring other persons that are interested in learning more and new ways to use Archicad plus Enscape. All right, so let's dive down into today's video. Right, so let me share my screen now. Okay. Okay. Here on Archicad, right? So on Archicad. So yesterday we started a project, a design, or let's say a building, and then we did some level of works on it. We did our grid elements, we did a roof plan, we added some levels, the level settings, and all that. So today we're going to be working on the 3D. Right now, there's an aspect of you or making it easier for you to render on 3D. So one of the things I'll show us firstly is what we call 3D styles. 3D styles. Right. So now, if as an architect you want to do a white model, probably for you're a student in school, or you are an interior designer, and then you want to do something just minimal to show to your clients, right? So not to give them a full scope of what you have done. Right. So now 3D style is very, very useful for architects. So let's go down to the 3D. This is the 3D window we have here. Right. So on this 3D window, what I'm going to do now is to turn this 3D with color and materials selected into a plain white model. So just stay with me and then watch through the process. So now what to do is to right click on your any part of your screen, your 3D window screen, and then you see 3D styles, right? So now we'll click on 3D styles, right? Click on 3D styles, and then we have all this 3D out. So, but let me go back again. So I'll do the same right clicking, and then I can actually just click on wireframe. Right, so you see what wireframe is. Wireframe is just like you trying to see through the building, the interior parts of the building without, just like you want to try to do a detailed view through the building, right? You can actually use this to see your building and see the like a skeletal system of your building, right? So now let's do the same thing. This is still the 3D styles we are doing right now, so we are continuing. Now there's white models with shadow, right? So let's click on white model with shadow and see what happens. Right, so now this is white model, right? So if is either you can actually choose to click on this and then click on these 3D styles, or you can just select any of these items here. So now let's try this simple shading vectorial and see what happens. Right, simple shading. Let's go. Let's try technical drawing. All right, so now this is as per technical drawing, and then wireframe. Right, so let's try another 3D style. Right, so simple. Okay, let's do detailed shading. Right, so now this is for detailed shading. Right, so now we have all this intact. Right, so now that's where you can actually use 3D styles to do a white model, right? That you can, if you want to now, probably if you have this 3D window rendered out, so let's do that. Let's do that in the next few minutes, and then we'll now proceed to the 3D rendering and then the settings for Archicad rendering, and then we move down to Enscape, merging Enscape with Archicad to work with, right? So before you do that, right? So you want to ensure that you have installed Enscape folder too, right? You want to make sure you've installed it. Once you installed it, there's the particular you see that when you open Enscape, what we call Archicad, right? So the Enscape toolbar will appear here. And so now it is a plugin. Enscape is a plugin, so you have Enscape Archicad, you have Enscape, SketchUp, you have Enscape, Revit. Right, so now is a plugin that comes into the software and you can actually work with it from the software. And it makes rendering easier. Okay, so please make sure you have rendered, you have installed Enscape, and then you open your Archicad, you can now actually see this. And then you can from here, Enscape toolbar, right? Can actually now I can remove it from my screen here, or I can actually keep put it back on my toolbar on the left, right? So you can do the same on your screen. Now let's quickly do a 3D rendering of our exterior space. We're not going to do much things, right? So yesterday we stopped at concrete facial, right? Concrete. Let me go back to the simple shading we're using. We stopped at concrete facial where we did this concrete facial, right? And then we increase the height. So what I'm going to do now is to go back to the first level, right, which is the elevation, the roof plan level, right? So now and then we can actually multiply, or let's say, right. So what to do now is to do control, right, control M. I want to mirror this copy. Want to mirror this concrete facial all through the building, right? So before we now move on to the next parts of the building, right? So and adding other elements, trees, people, and all that to make it look much more lively. Adding a surrounding environment. Right, so now Control M, click on Control M, and then you now click on the last node, right? This last node for this one, and then you click on it. Right, so let me zoom out so you can see what happens. Right, so if I click on it, this is what happens. Is I'm mirroring that particular object. So I'll do a 45 degree, or I can click on Shift, click and hold Shift, and then it will be on the 45 degrees, and then I shift arrow, and I just click Enter. Right, so now it dragged the particular concrete facial out of that place. But what to do now? Let's go do Control Z to go back, and then we'll do Control M, and then we'll click on Control to drag a copy. I remember we talked about the last time. So drag a copy, and then you move to the next page. So now let's click on it again, and then we'll follow through this 45-degree roof plan line, and then click. So now it has stayed inside. So what you just basically want to do is to drag from this pink node and then extend it to the end, of the roof. So you have the intersection. Okay. So now drop it up, and then you go down to the next. So highlight on this particular object is the object, but then it's a concrete facial. And then what we want to do now is we have highlighted both of them. Now we click on Control M to multiply, right? So sorry, mirror to mirror the particular object. So I want to mirror and then fit the other part so it's not entering it. So what to do? Control M, and then we click on Control, and the plus sign will appear on your arrow mouse, right? So you click on this particular point, and then align this particular point to a 45 degrees, and then click on it, right? So what happens is it comes up this way. Right, so let's do the other way around. I think it didn't come in the way we're supposed to want it. All right, so but let's continue from here. Let's continue from here. So what you can do now is you can drag this down. You can drag it and we drop it at this intersection with the roof plane. And then for this particular one here, you drag from here. If you drag from this particular point, it is to change the angle of that particular side. So we don't want to drag that one. So we want to drag this. So we'll drag it out, and then we'll take it up to the edge, right? So what will come here, we'll come and reduce this particular one, and then take it down to the intersection. And voila, we are done with the concrete facial. Let's go to the 3D and see what happens. Right, so now if you look at the 3D, it's all coming together now. So this is a simple 3D rendering video, right? A 3D model, right? So we did a self-contained, so then we just added another floor, right? Copied it. So just go, you can check back on the previous model, that's model 3, to see what we did and how we came up to this point, right? So I'm not going to do any other touches to this particular point. What I will do now is to just change the building, and then I will change the color and materials, right? So change some colors and materials, and making it simpler so that I don't want us to take much time trying to work on other parts. So, like I said, if you're just joining us, please do well to subscribe to this channel and to produce content like this on a daily basis into our process. Is surrounding around this point, right? So I'll remove my grid elements because we're done with that particular class. How to add the grid elements? So select it, and then we select this other ones, and then we click on backspace or delete. So let's go down to the ground floor. Yeah, so this is where we started from, our ground floor. And then we want to copy the slab tool, right? So copy the slab tool or any tool at all. You can use click on alternative, click and hold on alternative, and then your mouse will show this tool picker, and then you can actually click on the slab. So now you've copied that particular tool, right? So now let's now draw a layout on of our site, right? So let's say we want to make our site look like this. I want it to be somehow big. This is okay. All right, so let's zoom in and then we can go down. Let's go to the before we go to the 3D, let's go to the section and see what we have on the section panel. So we can adjust. No, actually from section you can actually adjust the size of what we did, and also okay. So look at it now. So it's because we have that selected, it is showing up on the first floor. So we want to drag it down, or let's change the thickness of that first. I usually change mine to 10. Enter. So it'll be very, very tiny. Right, so 10. And click on enter. Oh no, it didn't make a change. It didn't change. It didn't change. Alright, so hold on. So let's click on this slab thickness and then click on 10. Click enter. Yes, so now it has happened. It has worked. So I'm going to go down. I'll zoom in and I'll drag this Ctrl D to drag. I'll drag it from here up onto the bottom part of my staircase, right? So I want to start from here. So now that's the last part of my staircase, my step rather, right? So now we have it looking good. Right, so let's go down to the 3D and see what we have done. As you see, it has covered the whole area to give the side lookup. So now let's change the material for this. From this 3D, let's change the material for this our site. So you can, when you select the site, click on Shift, and the arrow tool will show up, and then you select the site, and then you go down to the setting area. So now we have this override surfaces we talked about the other. So this is top surface, this bottom, this is the edge surface, and then this is the bottom surface. So we don't have need to change any of these ones yet. So just we want to work on just the surface, the top surface. Right. So let's go down and look for a material that depicts the floor. Right. So let's look around. Floorboards. We want to use floorboards. We have concrete. We have concrete. 04 concrete 10. Let's look. Let's still go down. We have used concrete, but let's go backwards a little. Okay. So paint. We have grass. Nope. Nope to grass. Nope to grass. All right. So let's look for something. I'm not sure. Okay. So tiles, roof. All right. Let's see. Let's make it of a tile. Let's see tile. What happens to tile? The tile, this is ceramic tile. Although tile is for something else. Let's make use of concrete for now. Let's make use of concrete and then use concrete 4. And then okay. If it was on concrete before. Alright, so let's change it. Let's change from concrete. Let's use another material. Probably can make use of a paint. Let's make use of a paint. Glass, use rock polish. Earth brown. Let's see earth brown and see what it looks like. Okay, so this is earth brown. All right, so let's zoom in and see how it looks like. This earth brown, just like you have the normal earth, but it wouldn't feel good for our rendering. So let's look for another material to select. All right, so earth brown did not work. All right, so glass insulation paint. Um, 2008. Let's just use stone marble. Stone marble will be good. Let's see. Stone marble, granite, stone, granite gray. Let's see how this will look. Okay. So sorry, I'm taking a little bit more time. Stone gray. All right. So okay. Okay. So this, I know the marble is costlier, but let's see how the materials look like first before we begin to select. Stone marble gray, stone, limestone fine. Let's make use of this and see. All right, so let's make use of this one. Let's make use of this, and then we are done with this particular floor area. Let's make use of this. So we can actually change the color or the type of roofing material we are having. Right, the type of material we have here. So let's go down and select the roof, and then go to the roof settings, and we see go to model. Then the surface of the model, the roof, the top surface. So we want to go down to, we have the roof areas. These are roof materials: asphalt shingles, gray, roof tiles, French brown. So for these, let's make use of asphalt shingle gray, right? This is roof tiles. Okay, let's make use of this one. Then click on OK. Right, so we have this set up here. So let's select this concrete facial and turn it to white. So we're trying to edit the entire building, and then we'll do our 3D rendering. So which is for today's video. And we'll go down to Enscape. Okay, so now because one thing you want to be sure of, right? So before you go down to Enscape, right, you want to be very, very sure of your model. So now this is the model part whereby you begin to put things together, you begin to model your building to make it look like the way you want to make it look like. So, and even when you go to Enscape too, you can still change materials, right? Don't forget that you can still change materials on Enscape, right? So all you need to know is for you to just be okay. We'll go down there. We'll go down there. Let's complete this other part. Okay. So let's select white. We make use of titanium white for this molding style. No, not mold. Okay, not here. So I'll go down to this model settings, and here I can find material. So plaster gypsum. So let's change it from plaster. No, not this one. Model settings. Now let's click on these and see. Okay, general. So we have it here, industrial white. So let's use paint titanium white. Okay. All right. So we're done with that. Titanium white. So let's go down to the windows. Right. So let's select the windows and then make changes to the windows that we have. Right. So we have these windows right here. Right. So I'm going to add some moldings by the right. So we can actually let's work together and then see what we can actually change here on this particular window. All right, so select these windows on the 3D. I selected the building. All right, so window. Okay, I select this other one, and I click on O, and I click the pan tool to go through, and I continue again. Okay. All right, so I continue. select these and I select these. All right, so I needed to change my screen. There's a setup I did for my screen. Okay, so we're done with selecting this particular tools. Right, so let's see. Let's go to the Windows settings. And from the Windows settings, what you can begin to do now is to add some other aspects of this material. Okay, all right, give me a minute. All right, so we have all this set up. So let's go down to the basic Windows settings. Basic Windows settings, right? And then we can go down to click on this particular point, and then this pull down, long pull down will open. So all these have their own various importance, right? So we're going to click on model attributes. So from model attributes, I can change the frame. From model attributes, I can change the frame color rather, right? I can change the frame, I can change the sash outside, right? So now notice that there's outside, there's inside. For someone that is doing interior design, right, you want to now select for inside, right? So frame inside, that's what you want to change. So now the part that is visible in the inner part of the building, right? So but then because this is an exterior model, we're going to do for the sake of this video, we can actually do an interior rendering. So let's see how the rendering goes on the inside, right? So this is what we have. Let's click on the frame outside and change it to let's change it to a particular paint color. Let's see. I want to make use of metal. Let me see metal, iron. Iron can be shiny. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's metal iron for the frame outside. The sash outside. We want to make use of color, particular color, that will be much more visible. Let's see black. Let's try paint ivory black. Okay, so that is it. So you can decide to make the glass. Right, we have glass. We have blue glass. We have lamp glass. We have mirror glass. You can actually make it mirrored, right, for glass and all that. So we don't make that changes here. So grid inside. So for the grid outside, let's change the grid. Notice the lines that we have. Let me make it a titanium white. Titanium white, yeah. Titanium white, okay. And then you can click OK. Right, so you can see what we have here now. Right, so this is what we have at Windows setting, right? So now for what we have selected so far, right? You can go ahead and play with these as much as you want, right? You can spend time at the beginning part of when you begin to use this setup. You can explore, right? One of the good things about it is you can explore and learn more when you explore, right? So the more you trial and error, you make some mistakes, change them, and then you correct them. So it begins to give you the idea of okay, what is working and what is not working. Right, are we together? Right, please, if there's any question, feel free to ask the question. Right, so now for the sake of practicals, right, I want us to do something. I want us to do something now. So if you're watching this video, please, what you do now is to go down to the door tool, select the door tools, the exterior part. You just have only one door, right? So select this particular point, these doors, and begin making the changes, right? So I want to see how it turns out to be from your end. So because now, like I said earlier, the window settings and the door settings are almost the same, right? So let's continue with our setup, and then let's go back to the settings on the window. And what we want to do now is to continue down. We want to click on this particular tool, and then we want to add casing, right? Casing, probably like a mold on the exterior part of the wall on the outside, right? So that's what we call the casing. So now let's go down to casing outside, right? So casing outside, and then it's not checked now, right? So what we want to do now is to click outside casing, so it's highlighted. Now the outside casing as well is 100, right? So let's reduce it down to 75. I usually make it 75. You can choose 50 as you like. So 75, it's like a unanimous setup, right? So now the thickness, right, the outside casing thickness, right, is 25. So let's make it 50. I should make it 50. And then this is uniform casing. You have simple, is the simple with overhang, complex with overhang. You can actually try any of these pattern, right? Any of these type of casing designs. These are different designs, right? So it's going to be simple, it's going to be complex, whichever one you want to make use of, whichever hand. So now we have set that. So now let's go down to the casing setup, whereby you can actually change the color of this particular casing you just selected. All right, so let's click on parent page. Give me a minute. Nope, no, not this page, not this page. Hold on. Let's go back to casing again. Okay, model attributes. I think it should be a model attribute. Okay, model attributes. So click on the model attributes, right? So model attribute, and you can see casing outside, right? Wood pine grain. So that's the color we have. So let's make it a titanium white. Make it plain white, so it stands out. Adventure, you have a different color, or you have a different choice of material you want to make it of titanium white. So click OK. So it has been added to our model. Let's see how it looks like. Because it's a white, plain white building, so you might actually find it difficult to see what you added here. So let's work on the colors for the building itself, right? So then, so look at this. We made a mistake. We didn't select these other windows here on the kitchen side of the elevation, right? So now what we can actually do now is that we can um, we can now use alternative, like I usually told us, to pick the setup for these other windows, for this other window we have here, and then apply that to this other two. Okay, so now let's do that. Let's click on, we go out on O. Let's click on alternative and highlight on this window. We pick it, and then we click on Control plus alternative and hold them together, and then we click on this other window. Right, so you see the settings has been transferred, right, without any stress. You don't need to go back and set the window again and from scratch. So the same thing, let's pick, because this is on the ground floor, right? Cannot this pick you pick, you can only affect the ground floor. So if I use this particular pick and I apply it to this other elevator window on the upper floor, let's see what will happen. Right, it has brought it down a little bit, right? So now let me Control Z. So now what I'll do now is, because it's on the upper floor, I'll pick the two settings for the upper floor window, and I'll now use it and click on this part, so it stays on the same measurement, the same dimension that was used for the window width, the window height, seal, right? So that we have done that actually. So now let's go down to the next part where we want to set up, or let's choose a color for this building. Let's choose a color for this building. Let's select this particular extrude part and then go to, yep, so let's see a generic particular color. We didn't know, notice we didn't add any too much design. We didn't add any designs to this part of this building, right? So now intentionally, because this is the video, so you have to now begin to create these and that and that and that before add one or two elements and making it look much more sophisticated, right? Like a modern design. So this is just minimal. So that is why we are doing this. Okay, so let's select this again, and then we'll go down to the settings, door wall settings, and we want to click down on model. We want to click on model. So now, like I said, this is the outside surface face model. So now I want to just click on this, and then we want to select a color or a paint that would give us something nice and eclectic or wonderful. So now let's make use of the paint sand beige. Close of this video, right? Let's make the paint sand beige, right? So and then click on OK. So I'll show you something that will happen now. So let's click OK and see what happens. Right. So if you notice very well, you see that the setting or the choice of paints only affected some areas, because of the fact that I didn't highlight for every wall, right? So now let's go back to our settings, right? So now we'll uncheck these other ones, uncheck these, uncheck these. You see that they have different colors. Right? This is paint, this is stucco, this is stucco yellow, this is stucco white. So let me click OK and see what happens. Okay, so you see the difference in color. Right? So what we now do now is to what we want to do now is to click on link to link it. Link surfaces. Now this first surface should be linked to every other surface color and paint, right? So you see now it is linked together. Then click OK. So that particular setup affects every aspect of our building, right? So now this is what it looks like. So now this is the casing we added to this window. This is the casing we added to the window here, and see the thickness and all that. So it's much likely okay. So let's continue down the line. So we can actually change this next the ground floor to the same material. Let's go down to the ground floor. I can change the same material. So to highlight all the walls, because we didn't group the wall for the ground floor, let's click on marquee and then click on wall, then click on Control A to highlight all the walls. What we want to do is to change the color of the walls. So now let's highlight these, all of them together. Right, sorry for that. Alright, sorry for that, please. The lights was turned off. Alright, so just give me a minute, please. Let me set this up again. Okay, so give me a minute. It goes off again now. Alright, so sorry for that. I'm back up again. Alright, so as we proceed, right, so let's proceed on the call. So we have unhighlighted all of them, and then let's click on link, and then we click on the first one, and then we go back to the paint. We use the paint sand beige, right? So we click OK, and then it's done. So we can actually go back to our 3D and see the setup or the changes that has been made to our 3D, and this is what it's looking like. So it's just a plain colored building material making use of, right? So let's make a change to the slab, the colors of the slab, right? So because we have white and we have black, right? Let's make use of something white. Let's make use of titanium and let's see how it looks like. Or let's make use of the same particular the same particular color all through. Let's make use of the same color all through. So now let's pick sand here for the middle. So now for the surface, right, we have the top surface of that particular floor, the suspended floor, and then the ground floor. Let's make use of a tile material, right? So let's make use of a tile. So let's make use of the 60 by 60 tile. And also ceramic porcelain. Let's use ceramic porcelain and see how it looks like. Okay, so now that there we go. We have that sorted out. Okay, so now we see it's connecting together. Right, it's connecting together. Right. Right, to make a little bit of design. Let's just for the purpose of this, let's just make a little bit of design, adding a little bit of things to it to make it look a little bit catchy, right? So let's add a little design to it. So what we'll do now, let's go down to we'll go down to our upper floor, which is the first story, and then go to your object, double click on the object, and then this molding opens up, right? So look up molding settings, and then we select one of these base. Okay, no, let's make use of these base cap. Look at the base cap and see how it looks like. Base cap, base cap. Or let's make use of this one, base 5. Let's look at the setting. Nope, not this one. Go here. So this is the height of the base card profile height. Right, so it's 130. 130 is going to be let's say this small. That is okay. That's okay. Okay, so let's click on OK, and then let's place that on a particular point in our drawing. Let's zoom in a little bit and see, and drag it to the edge of this particular point. All right. So let's go down to the south elevation and see the addition we just did now. So now when it comes to 3D model, one major thing that you want to take note of is the fact that we are working with, when you are trying to do your model, you are trying to work on your model before you move to 3D rendering. What you are doing is you want to first of all, firstly, we are working with three outputs, right? So you're working with the 3D model, you're working with the plan, you can work with the elevation, you can work with the section. At any point of this, you can edit your model, right? So now making it easier for you to view, to make some changes, and then to come back again and do some things that you would like to do, right? So now this is what we added here. So I'll drag it down a little bit. Yeah. So, and then I'll extend it up all to the end. Extend. So now this is a move node, right? So this is increasing the height. Right, so up all to the end, 450. Okay, so let me, this is okay. Okay, so what I can still do now is I'll do the same thing here. I'll drag it up a little bit, Control D, and then Control to add, to drag a copy. Now drag it and I'll drop at this edge here. I'll do the same thing, drag it again, and I'll drop at this edge at the top here, the top corner here. And although it's going to be a little bit closer to this concrete fascia, but we can still increase the concrete fascia, right? So making it easier for us to edit it. Right, so let's drag it and then merge it up with this. Right, so what we want to do now is let's drag this up a little bit. All right, so let's drag this up a little bit by, let's say, 150 into D, and shift arrow, let's say 100, and then hit enter. All right, so we have, okay, let's do a little bit again, Control Z, sorry, Control D rather. Now add 50, shift arrow, 50, click enter. All right, so now we have that. That's okay for us for now. So let's drag these other sides that were not dragged together, and then drag it 150, which is what we did for the other one. 150, enter. Right, so now this is what you have here. So let's look at the 3D model again to see what you just did. All right, so we just added those items there. So now what we do now is to duplicate these items here and then pin it to this other side of the elevation, right? So this other side of the 3D model. Right, so we want to make this building stand out a little because we're making some touches, right? So let's do that now. Let's do that now. All right, so follow me down. Let's go down to the side elevation. Let's go down to the side elevation. You can either access the side elevation from, here, highlight on it, and then click here, and then open with current view settings. Or you can highlight from the navigator section, like I told us earlier, right? So this is the side view. This is the side view of our section. What I want to do now is I want to identify the particular side to drag. So that's why I'm here. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3. Let me drag this, drag a copy out. Drag it out a little bit, okay? So, and then I will do the same. I'll go down to the floor plan. All right. I came around to the floor plan to actually mirror. So I'll mirror this copy. I mirror down. So I'm not doing a drag a copy, just doing a direct drag. So take this out. Then Ctrl D. Now drag it up onto the edge of this particular line here. Now drop it here. Right. So now what happens is I will do this. I'll extend this point out for 5 degrees. I'll come here and extend this particular point 45 degrees so they can intersect together. Right, it makes it look much more better and real. Right, so let's go back and drag this backwards a little. There are different ways of doing this, right? So you can actually use complex profile to do this. What I'm doing now. So, but for the purpose of this, I just want to make use of this one to see how easy another point you can use to do this. Right. So let's go down. Let's go down to our west elevation, which is the side elevation, and see what we have done. Okay. So now this has been added. Right. So now what I want to do now is to drag all these, drag a copy, drag multiple copies, and then I place them at this other point where we have these designs here. Right, one. All right, we have the next one, two. Also can exit the control, the multiple copies, and then we can go down to our model and see what happens. All right, so this is what we have here. This is what it's looking like. All right, so I can actually stop here, but I just wanted to add one more. Maybe I'll add one from here downwards, and then add another one from here downwards. Right, so now you can actually, like I said earlier, you can actually manipulate the software, the tool, right? So once you know how to use a particular tool or different tools on the toolbar, you can actually use any of them to do anything you want to do. Right, so now to add this one, what we can actually do now is let's make use of a slab. Let's make use of a slab and do that. Right, so let's make use of a slab. Before we do that, let's check the scale, the size of each of these ones. Right, so I'll go down to the ground floor. Right, so go down to the ground floor. Hold on, let's go down and check the thickness of this particular setup we did. Right, let's see the thickness. So it's the height of it is 130, then the profile width 16, 130 and then 16. Okay, so we can actually make use of that for our slab. Right, so let's go down to the floor plan. For the slab, what you want to do for the slab, you go to the slab settings. Right, so we want to start from 0, make it 0. Slab thickness, what you want to do is to make it the thickness, let's say the thickness we have was 16, right? 16, yeah, 16. All right, 16. Now let's click OK. So now the height was what was the height again? 130. 130, right? So 130. Let's click 130 for the enter. We click 16 or 16. Enter, and then we connect them together. These points. Now this is what we have here. So now we can go down to our front elevation. Let's go down to the front elevation. Front elevation is rather the east, right? Yeah, east elevation. No, I think it is south. I think it's the south elevation. Yeah, it's the south elevation. All right, so this is the south elevation. So we go down to this point. Look at what we did here. So what you want to do now is to drag it, right? You can drag it from here upwards. Add the height. Nope, not here. Right, yes. We click on the black node and stretch height. Okay. So before we stretch the height, let's drag it up to the 0 point. Okay. So you can now click on the black node and stretch height. Stretch height upwards. All right, so that is it. So let's do the same thing. We'll drag this we have done here and then add it to the next floor, which is this one. Add it here. All right, voila. Then you can actually drag it down a little bit to connect with this one underneath. All right, so now this is what you have. So let's look at what we have done so far. All right, so this is what you have. So what you can do now is to change the color, right, to make it white. Right, so this is white. Remember, this is beginner to advanced level. So whatever you can do here, you can do on any particular project. Whatever you can do here. This is just general. Let's make this particular item white. Paint, right? Paint titanium white. Okay. But let's make it general. Let's leave it like that. General. We have general for those ones. Let's see here. We can do general for this one. So we highlight every part of it and then we link them together. Let's see if we have general. Let's do general for this one too. Okay. Right, so on the same color. No. It doesn't. It doesn't give us the same color. Right. So because of that, we're going to now change the colors of this particular item to titanium white. Let's change it to titanium white to make it synchronize with the one we want to do. All right. So yes. So we'll change it to titanium white, and then we'll change the other material to titanium white too. From general, we move it down to titanium white. Okay, white paint. Okay, right. So okay. So move this one from general down to down to titanium white also. Okay. All right. So now it's synchronized. It's looking it joins together. Right. The same thing for the purpose of time. I don't want us to spend more time on these. You can actually add one more here to make it synchronized. But then let's leave it like this. We are good to go. Right. So we can add grass on our surrounding. Right. Adding grass on our surrounding. So now we want to add grass to your Archicad, right? Your tool, your 3D rendering. What we do now is to first of all, this is the tool that we usually use. Use mesh. Use mesh to add grass, green to our environment. But then before we do that, we're going to map out with line. Go to documents, right? Go to documents, and then use line tool to now map out the space area for circulation around your site. So let's use 1,500. Right, so for the mapping out, I want to map out my control M. Right, so this is the line. I want to use this and map out my surrounding. Right, to map out my surrounding and see how possible it is. So what I'm doing, so I'll add it up here. And I'll drag this up to the edge. Now this is just like this other tool is like a measuring. This other line is like a measuring tool for me to get my measurements down. Okay, so I can use 45 degrees to bring it down to this point, and I'll draw it out here. All right, so I can extend it downwards up to this point. The same thing here, I can extend it downwards up to this point. You know what I want to make it look like. Right, so let's, for the purpose of this time, so we have limited time, we have some minutes to go. So I can actually just drag this in here, right, and I'll drag this out here. So I want to know, okay, this is my space for movement. Right, so let's go down to the mesh tool. click on mesh, and then go down to click on the settings. What I want to do, this mesh height, change it to 2, so let's change it to 110. Let's change to 110. All right, so and then um, home story only. Okay, then home story only. So we click on OK. So now let's click and then create our mesh. Right, from here we start to go to these other points. Remember the lines we did, follow through here. We click out here, and then click out at this edge, click out at this edge, click out at this edge, and click out at this edge. Now that's completely done. So let's go to our section to view what it looks like. All right, so now this is it. This is it. Why I made it to be 110 is because of the height. The normal height used for the slab was for the slab ground floor was 10. So now we're making it 110. So to add 100 to it, so now Control D, drag it, and then join it to this other part because we want some surface of that side to be showing. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go down to the 3D and see what you have on the 3D. Right, so now this is what you have on the 3D. So what it's looking like. This is the grass. So what you can actually basically do is to now extend it over the whole area of your site, so making it connect together. All right, so let's connect it to the entire area of our site. Connect it here, connect it down to these points. We're not going to do more than this, so that I can actually do and touch our. Okay, so this is it. All right, so now this is what we have here. So this is okay for now. Let's work with this for now. Let's work with this for now. All right, so the next thing is to we just leave it like this. So now the other part of it, now we can actually begin to add some other elements on Enscape, right? So now this is the part where now that is getting interesting. So we want to open our Enscape toolbar to now continue from Enscape to render our drawing, right? To render our model, right? So we're done with the model. We want to render the model now, right? So join me as we go down to Enscape, and then we'll continue the rendering. Right, so now this is the Enscape toolbar. So start Enscape. Right, so now you can actually synchronize views. Right, so what this synchronized view does is that you side by side, you are viewing Archicad and Enscape side by side on the same screen, right? And then this other part, live update. Live update is where you actually, whatever changes you are making on Archicad or it's affecting Enscape, whatever thing you do on either part is affecting either part. So now it's updating automatically, changing automatically. And then here you can actually asset library to select your assets. You have an Enscape material library. You can Enscape material editor. You can edit the materials. So the materials you have on Archicad, you can actually edit it and make it look differently from what you have on Archicad, right? So that's the beauty about it, right? Update and upload management and all the likes like that. So let's click on the and start Enscape and let's see what Enscape holds for us. Okay. So please stay tuned up to the end of the videos, right? So as we continue, right, so it takes a little while for Enscape to open, right? So now this is Enscape opening, right? So just give us some few minutes. Enscape is opening. So it's opening separately from the Archicad file. That's why you can't see it for now. So, but then I'll show us what it looks like, or I'll synchronize it to the Archicad tab. It's still opening. Just give us a few minutes. Enscape is still opening. It take a little while for the Enscape library to start. All right, just hold on a bit. Right. So while we're still waiting for Enscape, I remember we have an assignment for you to do to catch up with. Right. So now the assignment is 3D exterior 3D visualization. Right. So apply materials to the task is apply materials to wall, your roof, and then your floors. Right. So generate 3D exterior or two exterior 3D views. Okay, and then one rendered image. So just render your image through Enscape and then you're good to go. Right? Okay, it's still opening. So please, if you're just joining this channel, please do well to subscribe to this channel, Architect's Guide. Right? My name is Bright and Tom Rigera. So you'll see me often because we do content like this or do trainings like this on a regular basis. Right? So stay tuned as we move down to Enscape now. All right, so just give me 2 minutes. It's still opening. Once it's done opening, I would actually now synchronize the screen and then merge it on the same layer with the Archicad screen, so we can continue working from there. All right. Okay, so our Enscape is opened. Right, so now let me do the let me merge it to the Archicad library. So I'll reduce the size of it. Reduce the size. Reduce the size of this item. All right, so we have this. So for you to see it now, so what I'll do now is I'll click on, please look at my screen. I'll click on synchronize, right? Synchronize views. I don't know if you can see that. Have you able to see it? Okay, it's not showing yet. I'm sorry. It's not showing yet. Give me a minute, please. And let me view my entire screen. Let me view my entire screen for the purpose of this particular part where it should show. Right, so hold on. Share my screen, the entire of my screen, so you can see entire screen. Right, so give me a minute. It's not okay. Right, so share. All right, so this is what it looks like for now. So let me go back to Archicad. Okay, so I believe you can see my screen now. All right, so if it's possible for you to see my screen now, please. Yeah, so it's showing my full screen now. All right, so here we are. This is how it looks like on when it's synchronized. Right, so now let's zoom out a little bit in Archicad. Right, so whatever I'm doing, it's actually doing the same thing for me. Right, so this is it. So this is it. This is how it looks like. Okay, so it's pretty much very simple. Enscape is pretty much very simple. So what we want to do now, let's increase the size of this Enscape and let's see some features of this. I'll just talk us through some settings, where to get these, where to get that, before we now continue on the process. So I'm panning my screen. This of my center mouse button. You just click on the center, the roller button, and hold it and move your mouse to pan the screen. Okay, so here we go. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see how the building looks like. So now on the top menu, right, the items are on the top menus. We have Enscape window settings, we have visual settings, we have safe frame, right? So you just have a frame, just a blank spot where you can actually live, like below your building, below your what's it called, your Enscape render. Right, so now here is where you can actually batch render. Here you can actually screenshot. Now the screenshot is your rendering, whereby it turns it to an image for you to actually present to client or do multiple renderings for a client or for your so asset library. You can see your asset libraries here, right? You can see your asset libraries here and all that. So So let's click on the settings, Enscape settings, and see what you have. Windows settings, right? So now on these Windows settings, you can see devices connected, then preferences, pin Enscape window on top of the host application, right? So it's ticked. Know that. So now this settings is not much. We don't use this much. All right. So let's remove it. So it shows now the visual settings, right? Visual settings that affect the rendering scene that we can see here, right? So now let's zoom out a little bit, or let me drag it up to the side here so we can see what changes I'm making and then how it's affecting it. All right, so on this you see custom presets, right? There's custom presets, main, image, atmosphere, the sky, there's output. So now this custom preset is what affects how rendering looks like when we are done with it. Okay, how it look like when we're done with it. Right. So what we want to do now is the first thing on the main, you want to click on none. So either you want to make use of a white, right? Let me click on it so you can see it. Either you want to make use of a white rendering, right? So to turn to a white layer altogether. So that stuff we did on Archicad, you can still do it here on Enscape, right? You want to click on that, or you just want to make use of, let's say you want to make use of a watercolor. I don't know, you might want to do that, make it look like a cartoon kind of thing, and then you can actually use none. So where you just have your real Archicad and materials showing forth. All right, so outlines, let's see what outline does is actually makes it much more thicker, right? So the outlines on the wall to make it look like a pencil drawing or whatever presentation mode you want to give to your client, right? Auto exposure is actually is good. So but let me see, let me pick it up, right? So right, so auto exposure, we can use the auto exposure or we can reduce our exposure by ourselves, right? At any point, a given time. So if it's too much, we need to get down to 5. 4 is okay. 4 is okay. At 5. Right. So can change rendering quality to high or to ultra, depending on what you want to do. Although I think it affects the rendering time, but then it's faster than Archicad still. Right. So now let's go down to image. Can decide to leave that auto, or let's say auto contrast and see what happens. Auto contrast, and then saturation. You're bringing it down, desaturating it, or adding more saturation. Look at how it's looking like, but it's too much. So let's bring it at this point, right, to make the grass more greener. Then color temperature, you can start to leave it that way. Motion blur, right? You don't want motion blurs on your landscape. If I add trees now, you see that it begins to there's like a breeze that blows, right? So let's add the asset library. So now here you just come here and then do your other final. These are final touches before you now render. Let me go outside of these. I believe we are still together on the class, right? So okay, so let's go down to let's reduce the size of this down a little bit, and then you can actually see what we are doing here. Okay, so now I'll click that off now. Right, so for asset library, so now we go to asset library. So we want to add some trees, we want to add some items on the Enscape 3D, right? So we want to add it on Enscape 3D. So let's go down, and then it's loading, right? So usually have to connect to the internet because it's a free, it's a tool. So you have to connect to the internet for the item, the libraries to load up, right? So you have tons of libraries for different items for interior setups. You have lights and all that. So now this is the asset library. So you have to connect to the internet or to access them, except you have custom access. Whereby you just these are custom access that you can actually access them outside or not being connected to the internet. Right. So now what I want to add is I want to add some trees. Let's go to vegetation. Vegetation. Yep. So, and then we can look at something that I want to add. Now, if you look at some of these items, they have people, an image of a person. So now it's just a scale. It gives us a scale for the height of that tree you want to add, or the shrub, or whatever the plants that you want to add. Right. So measuring to the height of a person. Okay. So Let's add some random trees so they can actually speed up time. This I want to add this now, okay? I want to add this now. I don't add it directly to the. I won't add it directly to this 3D Enscape 3D. What I'll do is I'll add it to this Archicad, right? Let's go to the ground floor for Archicad, right? So and then let me zoom out a little bit and then go down to the points, right? So yeah. Okay, so now what we do now is to double click on this material that you want to add, and then it will allow you to pin to a particular point. You can zoom in and zoom out on any place on Archicad, right? And let's add it here close to this edge here. We didn't do any more settings on this part, so that's why it's just blank. Okay, so it comes up on the surface. So let's go down and look for trees. You can add any of these shrubs depending on what you want to design, or depending on how you want your exterior to be much more lively, right? So let me click on this one, this shrub, and I'll add it again to this particular point. Let me add it here. Let me add different type of shrubs. So observe something is not showing yet. It's not showing yet on the 3D menu, right? On the Enscape 3D, right? It's not showing on Enscape 3D because you have not gone to your Archicad 3D. When you go to your everything you can see on your Archicad 3D, that's when you can see it on your Enscape 3D. So because you're adding it on plan, you can't see on your Enscape yet. And so I think this is bigger than what I'll do. I will move it out. Let's go down again to add some trees. Let me add this flower. Right, so you can click outside here, add the flower. Right, so let me add a tree. I'm looking for tree. I have tons of items and materials. Let's look for a tree that is scalable to a person and you can actually add to your design. So these are foreground. These are for foreground designs for your render frame. I don't do a foreground kind of thing. Or you add it on your building, on the surface of a building, and make it look like it's dropping those biophilic designs, right? So you can actually do that, adding it up. So let's look here. Let's look here. Let's see. These trees are too big. We want something smaller. Um, well, I can still reduce the height. I can still reduce the height a little. These are bigger. These trees are big. Okay, so let's view something much more smaller. I want something that is scalable. Okay, this is better. This is better. So double click on it, and then let's drop it at this edge. Right. So that's okay. Let's stop there for now, and then we can add other more items based on what you want to do. Right. So let's close it first. Right. So what I'll do now is to let me multiply. Let me duplicate these, and then control alternative to multiply different multiple copies. And so add them at different points on my 3D. Yep. And then I'll do this randomly. So because of time, we are running out of time already. So escape. So I've multiplied them. As I control D, drag this one out. It's bigger from that point where it is. I drop it here, drag it again, and drop here the copy. All right, so and then let's go down to this other part. I want to duplicate these onto D and then duplicate multiple copies. I'm going to make it like let's say 3 of them. 3. All right, so now I'll go to my 3D window. Click on my 3D window now, and then I'll see the effect here in the 3D window. Okay. Right, so now this is how it looks like on my 3D. So you look at this, it's synchronizing now, it's bringing it up for me to view on this Enscape. So once this is done loading, so it will just come up by itself on this 3D window. Let's zoom in to see what happens. So it just loads and a lot of the materials just added to it. So give up some few minutes. So let's see how it. So it's still loading up. It's taking a little while. Don't know why it's doing that, but it's supposed to be much faster than this. All right, so we're still waiting for. Okay. All right, so it's still loading up, and so from view management, before while it's loading up, you can actually use view management to set up a particular view. Right, so you see what happens. So you can just bring it back. So what happened? We lost this particular view for now. So we used it to bring it back to where we were. Right, so let's zoom in a little bit, zoom in, and all that. So you can create this as a view, so to just keep it up for us. So now the next time we just click on it to just bring up the flight item and all that. All right, so I don't save this view. All right, so let's continue from where we stopped. So if there's any changes you see, anything you see that is happening, you can actually make the changes from Archicad, right? You can make the change from Archicad, make it look much more better on Archicad. All right, so now we'll stop here at the point where we'll do our photo rendering for today. So by the next time we come, we'll complete this section in full details. That's tomorrow. So please stay tuned with us to tomorrow. So tomorrow by this time we'll do the same. We'll continue from where we stop. How to add material, how to select material, how to change materials, how to add other objects, probably your lighting on the walls, how to edit. Probably look at this tree now. It's hanging, it's floating in the air. How to now bring it down, how to make them look much more realistic. Okay, so do that tomorrow. As you click on batch rend, no, not batch rend, then cancel. Click on photo screenshot here. So click on screenshot and we'll see what happens. So you click select a particular folder where you want to save it to. Right, so I just save it to my pictures in Enscape and I save. Click on save. Right, so it's exporting the image, it's rendering it into a picture. This view is not good enough, but we are out of time for now. Right, so please stay tuned with us to the next video we're having, whereby we'll talk about more details of this. So to save, to now export into an image. We didn't do much of the settings, remember. So by tomorrow we'll do the much more settings, and then we'll talk about how to edit all these other items and make this 3D much more realistic. All right. So if you're joining us for the first time, please do well to subscribe to this channel, and then I'll see you this time, same time tomorrow. All right. So I peace out. Right. So I'm saying have a wonderful night rest, or have a wonderful night, whatever country you are watching from. So enjoy your time, and then we'll meet again tomorrow. Bye for now.